It's three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
Welcome back to the O-Line Committee with two of us. Phil Mackey, obviously not here with us, but we're going to do part 2 of our Week 16 recap here. We're going to do it in the form of dumb football questions, where we take questions from the audience in the YouTube comment section, which you guys send in great ones every single week. We're going to get to those in a second. I have a few queued up to send to Alex and myself here, since Mackey usually is the one that throws them our way.
How come you got to know the questions and I didn't?
Because I made them up myself. Because someone has to be in charge when Dad's away. The kids will play. I am the one that is in charge. I know better than to put that on you, because nothing will get done. So
no, it's not that. It's just that they would become totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate. Could you imagine the questions that we'd come up with?
All right. Question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Eagles in trouble going into the playoffs here after yesterday's loss to the Commanders? Or do you still feel like they're one of the best teams in the NFL?
This is a tough question, because here's the problem. Who's the quarterback? I'm telling you, man. I mean, I guess at times I didn't realize how important he was, but the minute he left that game, everything was just kind of down. Obviously, like a starting quarterback and a backup are never going to be the same, but even Saquon's production went down. Everything just seemed to kind of get halted, and it was like, what's going on? What is this? And then, I mean, you have Devontae Smith dropping a pass that fucking hit both of his hands. Like, it's just such uncharacteristic things that you're like, what's going on with this team? One guy's down. It's like, you guys are all playmakers. You should all make plays. Just do you. Like, Kenny do him. Everything's going to be fine. At the same time, Washington had 5 fucking turnovers. That's a lot.
Unbelievable.
That's half the fucking game. You normally have 10 to 12 drives. They basically stopped half of their own drives. But then the other half just went all the way down the field and totally obliterated you. But it comes back, like, because I've been there when you lose people and all of a sudden the morale goes down, right? Like, you look at the Texans and they lose Tank Dell, and all of a sudden it's like that team was like, dude, him and Tank Dell and Nico Collins were doing in that game, like the back and forth, the big chunk plays. It's like, all right, we're starting to get going, right? All of a sudden you lose someone, Jalen Hurts, the leader of your team. And whatever it is, like a concussion, you're going to be worried about that guy during the game, right? Because you're like, man, I've had a concussion. Those are not fun. And then you start thinking about, like, when's he going to be back? What do we need to do? And then all of a sudden everyone, you know what the biggest problem is? And now that I'm talking about it, you know as much as I do. Everyone's like, I'm just going to do a little bit more. I'm going to do a little bit more because he would do this, and I know Kenny probably not going to do this, so I'm going to do it. And all of a sudden, it's like everyone tries to do too much. And all of a sudden, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Everyone's trying way too hard. Devontae Smith, I'm going to try way too hard to catch his pass. It's like, dude, just catch the ball and fucking ball down. Game's over. At the same time, I'm not concerned because I have seen what they do. They were on a 10-game win streak. Were they going to lose one? I was hoping not, because we just talked about it. When you lose in December, it kind of fucks up your flow. And then you have to go back and regroup real quick and be like, hey, we good? We're all good, right? Like, we're going into this thing. We're the 2 seed. Are we good? Are we good? I think for me, though, it falls, how is Jalen? I mean, dude, he took a shot. Right? Been there when we were like, yeah, I'm fine. And you inside your mind know I'm not fine, but I have to say I'm fine because I'm part of this thing, right? And the minute you step out of it, somebody else steps in and all the chemistry just gets fucked up. I don't know what it is, but it's the fact that when we're in that huddle together, the group, you just know everybody, right? Like, you can feel it. The words don't even need to be said. You come to the line, everyone's like, I know who the mic is. Why? Because I can read his brain. We've been out here long enough together. We all know each other. You put one new piece in, and all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck's he saying? What was that, Jack?
Well, I mean, the perfect example of that is when they had an empty protection. They all full slide left. They pick up the 5. They send 6. Dante Fowler hits Kenny Pickett in the back of the head.
Yep.
And they're going, he's got to know where his hots are. Right, that's the type of stuff that when Jalen Hurts is in there and you're an offensive lineman, you know, oh, Lane Johnson's like, oh, I'm squeezing this inside. Hey, okay,
ball's gone.
Squeezing this inside, ball's gone, he's hot, and all of a sudden you hear, oh, and you turn around and Kenny Pickett's picking his teeth up. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe he doesn't know what's going on. Maybe we're not. Okay, maybe we should.
Well, guys, we got to do more. We got to, right?
I think you're 100% right. I think that team tried to press a little too much, and the other issue is they didn't clinch. No. Right? They didn't clinch. If you clinch that game, now maybe you're not as like, okay, let's let Jalen get back for the playoffs. Right. Let's try and go. But because they didn't clinch, there's going to be a little bit more pressure, a little bit more butthole pucker in that building. There's going to be a lot that's going on there because they finished with 2 divisional games. They go Dallas and New York. Now, it's not like, oh, boy,
so we're resting our starters week 18?
Right? It's not like, oh, here we go. But at the same time, Dallas is figuring their life out.
Dallas could.
Right? Dallas is figuring their life out a little bit here. And, I mean, they're not obviously in any danger of losing the division, but you are in danger of losing some seeding, right? And you don't want to lose seeding. You want that number 2 spot locked up.
You don't want to go on the road
delivered.
ever.
You don't want to have to go on the road until you have to, right? And so it's going to be really interesting because I do think that we'll learn more throughout the week, but not many guys come back from a concussion in 1 week anymore.
No, especially that, dude.
It's pretty rare to see a guy go out on Sunday, clear concussion protocol by Saturday or Friday to try and get in there. It's really hard to do. I mean, they're lucky they're not playing early this week, but I would not be shocked if we don't see Jalen Hurts against the Dallas Cowboys this week.
No, and that wouldn't worry me, though, either, because we have who in the backfield, right? We have Saquon. There's things that we can alleviate the pain. And I know that going into a game, we don't expect the starting quarterback to get hurt. And then he does, and all of a sudden it's like, are we going to flip the fucking script on everything? Then all of a sudden the offensive coordinator starts wondering, am I doing too much? Right? Like, there's really no right answer to how this was going to get played, right? Like, you lost a fucking phenomenal player to a massive injury, and the team's kind of thinking about it like, oh shit, what did we just do? Like, does this fuck us up? And then you're in the middle of this heated game against Washington, who just, we're going to talk about that rookie in a minute, because holy shit. But at the same time, looking down the road, this is where I get nervous, because I know the concussion protocol, and I know how serious they are about, like, you didn't pass. And you're like, I'm almost positive I passed. They're like, he's still out of it. You're like, maybe I am out of it, right? Like, it's really hard. And then you have to go sit down with the guy, and he sits there and looks at you, and he asks you some really serious questions about your life, and you're like, maybe I'm not okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many kids do you have? 4. Sure you're okay? Do you know their names?
Is there something you need to tell me?
I remember being like, I know 2 of them. They were like, you're definitely not playing. But you're right, dude. And think about it. This is a question that you have to really ask yourself now too. Do we throw him out too early?
Right. That's what I mean.
We put
because if you put him out there next week because he cleared concussion protocol,
but he's not cleared,
and he takes Micah Parsons to the back of the head, now he's out a month.
Now you're out the whole season.
Now you're making a playoff run with Kenny Pickett. No disrespect to Kenny Pickett.
Oh no, I disrespect.
But you're not Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, no, I saw the fucking game.
You're not Jalen Hurts, right?
You were up 14-0. You should have coasted into that game. You should have been in that huddle like, boys, about to spin this motherfucker like you don't know. That's what I love when they come in and they're just funny.
The Jameis treatment.
Yep. And they're like, hey, who's ready to go? And you're like, I am now. Let's go. Like, get my mind off what I'm thinking about. My starting quarterback laying on a stretcher, walking off the field. Thank you for this. Like, I'm not concerned. I'm not, because they have Saquon, they have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. They got some playmakers. Okay, I'm not worried. If Jalen goes more than 1 week with this injury, I'm going to get a little more worried, because I'm going to be like, oh boy, now we're losing reps. Now we're losing timing. Like, dude, this is such a fucking crazy. And I never thought about it when we played, because what's the first mentality? I'm fine.
Yeah. Everything's good. No worries.
But then what do the coaches have to think? What if this dude goes out here and gets hurt again? Mm-hmm. Like, what if we don't have these guys?
It's the weird part of the season right now. You get to the second half of December, and it's this balancing act of, especially when the race is this close, the balancing act of, we need to be at full strength hitting our playoff run to, oh shit, we got to still make the playoffs, or oh shit, we still have to create this best seeding that we can available. What's the right path, right? Because there's a clear division, a fork in the road for Philly right now of, if Jalen clears concussion protocol by the grace of God by Sunday, do we play him?
No.
I mean, they're just wishing the script was flipped and they're playing New York this week.
I agree.
And Cowboys next week.
That's not how it works. Sorry, bros.
But you have to make a decision. I don't think you play him this week, regardless if he clears concussion protocol or not, because he will be the reason you make it to the Super Bowl or not, regardless of your seeding.
Right.
I think that right now his health supersedes what seed are we going into the playoffs, because you believe in your roster, you believe in your talent enough that regardless if we have to go on the road or not, we can win these games with Jalen Hurts. Can we win these games? Even if we secure the number 2 seed and Kenny Pickett's our quarterback, we still have a better chance of winning a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts as our quarterback, regardless of our seeding. I think you sit him down until the playoffs. I really
Agreed.
do. I don't even think you put him out there against New York. What's the point? There is no point in putting him out there against New York next 2 weeks from here.
I agree with you. I think you're better off going in at 5, 6, or 7 with Jalen than you would 2 at Kenny, because you're going to find out real quickly playoff football is not a joke. And if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know your checks, like when we watched half of his teeth get knocked out of his head, dude, those are real dudes coming for you, right? Like they know one thing. It's either eat or be eaten at this time. And that's when the intensity goes way up, right? And we're talking about how, like, dude, on a week 16 game, you didn't realize where your hot was, and you're fucking picking up your teeth now. Like, what do you think's going to happen in the playoffs? Every single person is going to be looking at that like, here we go. Blitz City's coming at y'all. Yeah. You better be ready for it. But on the opposite side.
Say, flip it now. Let's talk about
Washington.
Jayden Daniels.
Hello. My rookie of the year. Hello.
He has to be.
Oh,
he has to be. Sorry, Bo Nix. No, love what you've done over there. After that performance.
Oh, yeah, no.
You have to give it to that kid.
No. I think that the way that he can create plays and what he's doing with Terry McLaurin, Zacchaeus, what's his name? Zacchaeus, who was with Philly, comes around, scores 2 touchdowns. I'm like, that boy, way to stick it to him. That's how I fucking see it. But at the same time, like, you talk about them showing up in a big way, and they kind of went through a little lull, right? And I'm not surprised. Rookies are going to figure it out. They're going to figure you out. Now all of a sudden, you got to start winning with talent, and you have to find ways to do it. And they did, dude. Robinson fumbles the ball twice. And then all of a sudden you throw 2 picks, and it's like, okay, you're really getting yourself into a real problem here. Now, I will say this. They were lucky Jalen did not finish that game. Because had he finished that game, that fucking game is 56-0.
I mean, if they don't have that interception in the back of the end zone early in this, I think it's early in I might be confusing games. Yeah, I'm confusing games. Never mind. But I agree with you. If Jalen doesn't get hurt, but also if Devontae Smith just catches the ball.
Just catch the fucking ball.
Right, just catch the ball.
Diva.
But that's why the NFL's so great.
I know.
Give a guy like that a second chance. He goes down the field. They find ways to win. I mean, A.J. Brown's beside himself on the sideline, and the jubilation from him. And I'll say this, that kid never looked rattled. Daniels, never looked like the moment was too big. He never looked the stars in the headlight, none of that. He looked locked in, cool, calm, and you watch the team respond to that. Right? Because when your quarterback's a mess, everyone's a mess.
Yup.
Right? When your quarterback's spastic and he's kind of all over the place, this is kind of what happens to Tampa a little bit when Baker gets too fired up, and then everyone's like, right? And they start freaking out. Like, everyone freaks out. But you looked at Jayden Daniels throughout the entire game, throws a pick, brushes it off, fumbles the ball. Hey, it's okay. We'll get back to it next time. And just kept fighting. And then the plays he can make with his legs, he is going to be electric in this league. I mean, he's going to be as good as Lamar Jackson is. I think he has all the talent in the world. I think he actually is a better passer than Lamar was at this point in his career. Next year is going to be a lot of fun for Washington because they've got a bunch of cap space. And guess what else? It's now a destination place that fun people want to come play.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? No one wanted to go to Washington. There wasn't a free agent on earth that was like, oh, Dan Snyder?
Yeah.
He can be my boss, right? Who's throwing Sam Howell? But now, dude, if you're a wide receiver free agent, you're like, I want to play with that guy.
Yep.
Daniels, him, I want that to be my quarterback. Yeah, I'll take a good deal, right? It's not going to have to. You're not going to have to overpay to get people in Washington anymore. That's going to be a really fun team to watch on the come up, and Jayden Daniels is good as advertised.
I agree. And it's funny because now they're going to give Dallas a run for their money every year. I love that too because they just want to win so bad. But at the same time, got to give some love to Dan Quinn. Like coming in,
absolutely.
Changing that whole.
No one was super excited about that hire.
I don't think anybody.
Everyone was like,
Dan Quinn, 23,
what he can do.
28 and 3.
Yeah.
Here we go again, right? Like this guy is rookie quarterback. Bobby Wagner as his fucking mic. Johnny the other day goes, is that Bobby Wagner? And I go, sure is. He goes, he's still playing? I go, at a very high level, bud. Like, gonna be a Hall of Famer. What a stud. Guy was the coolest motherfucker too, Bobby. Like, he very rarely talks shit, but he'd be very funny about stuff. But when you see these guys playing, they're having fun. And that's Dan Quinn. That's the old Seattle. Every time I see them playing, they're always laughing. They're always having fun. That's exactly how Seattle would beat people, because they'd be like, no matter what. And they believe this to their fucking core. I'm not kidding you, because I played on a team with them. They believe that until that clock strikes all the way 0, there's a chance. We can do this. We'll figure it out. I've heard them say it before. Like, they'll just be like, hey, give a shit. Up 40 points. Come back and score 40 before they know it. You're like, but you're not. Like, who's this traitor? And you're like, whoa, I'm just being realistic here. They forever and a day will think that they are going to win. And you have a young quarterback who can't be stopped no matter how many times you try and take the ball away from him. And I will say this, when they are on the sidelines and like, hey, it's okay, we'll get it back. Jay's heard me be like, get the fuck away from me right now. You're the reason we're here. Go away. But the fact that you come out at the end and still produce and still fucking slinging the ball to Jameis Crowder across the middle, you're like, I like you. I like you a lot. I may have not liked you during the game, but after the game, I give you a big hug and be like, bud, you're that motherfucker. I'm cool with you, right? Like, you promised it'd be okay, and it was. And that's something that's hard to do in this league, especially as a rookie. To get everyone to be like, yeah, he's got it. He's going to be fine. Yeah, we'll just give us one more chance. We'll be fine. Dude, I'm telling you, these playoffs are going to be so fucking electric. I am going to eat so many chicken wings. Oh, my God. It's going to be ridiculous.
Well, speaking of playoffs, I got another dumb football question for you.
Hit me.
Does Sam Darnold leave the Minnesota Vikings to the NFC Championship?
Yes.
Ooh.
Here, I'll even go this far. Do the Minnesota Vikings make him an offer he can't refuse? Yes.
Oh, you're ready to pay them.
Bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, Brody, and this is the Vikings. How long have they been riding this fucking train, right? And all of a sudden, you got what you want. And listen, I hate to be the one to say this, because had they not beat Seattle, I'd be over here like, Sam's great quarterback. He's going to make $50 million somewhere else. But now I'm starting to look at this like, nope, you've made this a 2-horse race, and you've tied yourself to the Lions, one of the toughest motherfucking teams in the NFL, and everyone's waiting for that Week 18 game. Everybody. Now, I will say this. Both teams, don't fucking fall asleep this week, okay?
Yeah, please.
You come out.
Please make
do
this
your
mean
fucking
something.
business. You do your fucking, unless you both lose. And then that's okay with me. But whatever one does, the other one has to do.
Yes.
Okay?
Please make this happen.
Because holy shit. And if he beats the Lions for that number 1 spot, and he takes them to the NFC Championship, you give him a $300 million deal and you say, sorry, JJ, we will trade you in the offseason wherever the fuck you want. I'm serious, dude. You know as much as I do how this is so rare. It's so rare, though, dude. You're not going to do this again. You're not, especially not with a different player. You're not. And it's like, are we really going to let this go? To start all over. You're 12-2. Are you going to start all over? Jay, you're Ziggy Wilf.
I know.
I'll be Mark.
Trust me.
I'll take the backseat role.
I don't.
You run the show. Tell me what you're thinking.
I flip on this.
Don't flip.
Every week.
You're a billionaire.
But
be a man.
I text Collier, right, who I do my Vikings podcast with on Purple Insider, and right after Seattle went down and scored, I go, all right, Sam, you want to make $60 million? Go win this game. And what does this dude do?
He won.
Just goes right down the field,
double coverage,
takes a big hit, rolls his ankle.
He's
right?
fine.
And Byron Murphy, shut the hell up with that bullshit. It's not a face mask call. You're ripping him down by his head, dude.
What? You grabbed him by his face mask and threw him down, and he's like, well,
that's the rules, right? That's the rules. He got his head ripped off earlier in the year. They didn't call it. Like, they're going to call that.
Yeah, dude, he took some fucking
Took some shots that game. I mean, the left side of that offensive line did not play well. Cam
Y'all
Robinson,
better pick your
Blake
shit
Randall. Like, that is the one reason I'm like, well, you guys are leaky over there. Like, not even, like,
I have
every
faith
now
in
and
KOC.
then, like, leaky over there. I agree. I think KOC will get fixed. But for him to go out, get dinged, climb the pocket, and do the absolute 18s down there somewhere, my friends, and deliver that ball outside shoulder, behind the safety.
Perfect pass, by the way. Away from both guys coming. It went over.
It was a thing of beauty, and
you're not going to pay him?
Every week it just goes back to what is the bar, what is the baseline in which I'm willing to throw away all of our planning the last 2 years of how we wanted to build this team. Because the whole planning of the last 2 years has been, we're going to move on from Kirk, we're going to draft a rookie quarterback, and we're going to rebuild this thing on a rookie scale quarterback contract. what is the bar that you're willing to throw that whole 2-year plan out and go, hey, boys, didn't anticipate this one happening. Here's $60 million a year. Because that's what he's going to command. Make no mistake about it. Sam Darnold's not taking a team-friendly deal. Make no mistake. No way, shape, or form. Listen, coming from an agent, if I'm Sam Darnold's agent, he can come to me and be like, I love it here. Minnesota's great. KOC's great. Like, that's awesome. I love that for you. We're asking for $60 million. And if they don't pay it, someone else will. Because he's playing. I've watched enough shitty quarterback play around the league to know that someone's watching Sam Darnold right now going, yeah, I'll take him right now. Right now. Right?
I'll give you another team. Ready? Seattle will.
Yeah.
Be careful,
There's
dude.
so many teams that are looking around.
The Giants will. The Giants will be like, dude, what do you fucking need? Tell us what you want.
They have Malik Neighbors. You go pair him with another good receiver. Go buy a good receiver in free agency because Jalen Hyatt's not working out for you guys as number 2. You pair Malik Neighbors with a T. Higgins, and then you bring Sam Darnold into the picture. Tell me what's different there, right? You bolster up some of the offensive line. You get Andrew Thomas back. Sam Darnold is playing at such an elite level. I kind of tend to agree with you.
You have to.
My guess, they franchise tag him. I think you throw the franchise tag on Sam Darnold. Why not?
Don't do that.
You do it. You do it. And I get it. It's going to create some strife. It's going to create some issues. But I really do think that you throw the franchise tag on Sam Darnold and say, listen, this was great. I loved this. Do it again.
They're not. You can't
do it again.
You're not in that situation. No, you have an unrestricted, but you just drafted one in the first round. You're not paying this dude for one more year for this kid to sit behind him for one more year. You have to make a commitment. I'm sorry. This is not the Packers.
Franchise tag him.
If I'm his agent, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, we're not coming. He'll be in Cabo, and I'll just pull the old Neil Schwartz. Booney, you're not going to work. Stay home.
We'll see.
Thanks, Neil. I mean, I get it. 8 weeks ago, I was like, no, gotta go. JJ's our future. Gotta do this.
So if they lose in the first round, does this change your mind? Or is it NFC championship or bust?
I think
you lose. You secure the number 1 seed and you lose in the divisional. Does this change your mind?
Yeah, JJ.
Okay, so it's NFC championship or bust.
Pretty much, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm having a hard time not seeing them in the NFC Championship. That's why I'm like, hey, boys, I think you should find that money now. Find it right now so that no matter what happens, you have a plan going forward, right? Like if he takes us to the NFC Championship, JJ, we love you. Wherever you want to go, we'll ship you. We'll make you a happy man. We get it. But that's the one thing that you have to understand and the fans have to understand. This is business. The minute you step into this building, it's not like a, hey, we care about your feelings. It's like a, hey, we care about this fucking team. And you are a part of this team. And right now, this dude is commanding this ship to a 12-2 record, possibly the number 1 seed in the NFC. And we're just going to be like, hey, thanks for everything. Like at some point, JJ has to understand this is business.
So what have you done for me lately, Lee?
Right. No one ever complained about that in the rooms. We were all like, this is how it has to be. Right? It's the same thing with like when you lose your spot to an injury. We all know it's not your spot. It's still his spot until the coach says it's not, right? You could start 4 fucking games for him. The minute they're like, he's healthy, come here, stand next to me again. Go in. Like, you're like, okay, I get it. He's the fucking starter. The only person that didn't was DeAndre Campbell. Sorry, bro. You'll never fucking play again because you're an idiot. We all understood. We're big boys. He's the boss, I'm the backup. Or I'm the boss, he's the backup, right? Like, there's no animosity. But at the same time, Jay, are you really going to let the dude who takes you to the 1 spot walk out that door?
I know.
Especially because I feel like him and KOC right now are
it's incredible.
They're kind of too like this, right? Like he gets drilled, walks over, and he's like, what's the play, boss?
Trust me. I love what Sam Darnold's doing.
I do. I fucking love it.
I love watching this offense.
I love his spiky hair. I love everything about him.
I'm just not convinced that Kwesi, KOC, the Wilfs are willing to throw away this master plan that they've built off of 1 year's worth of work with a guy that's got a lot of paths.
It's kind
and
of
I agree because I think this is the other piece is we're all betting on the fact that JJ McCarthy is going to be a stud,
right?
Like, and that's the hard part. You look across the league at all the rookie quarterbacks. Like Bo Nix is okay. Michael Penix looked all right. Right, like there's no saying off the one preseason game where he went in and he looked great against the 3rd and 4th teamers that's going to be what he looks like on week 1 when the real bullets are flying next year. That's why I think you franchise tag Sam Darnold. You say, all right, Sam, it's your ship for another year. You go do this again. We're going to give you a nice big fat extension. Like, but I need to see before I pay him $60 million over 4. It's going to be tough. But again, I think Sam has earned it. And that's the other piece that I struggle with is you've earned that right.
Yep.
You've earned that right to go get paid like that. The road you've been through, the bullshit you've dealt with, like you've 100% earned the right to go win and get that type of money. So I struggle with that. I struggle with that back and forth.
I agree, and that's why I don't see the franchise tag being anything, because I see the Wilfs trying to...
But the franchise tag is, like you said, it's business.
I know,
and that's what they'll say.
I don't think the Wilfs will do that kind of business. They won't do that kind of business. I don't see Ziggy and Mark being like, we're going to keep you...
They're scarred from Kirk.
I know.
That heart's cut deep from what Kirk did to them from a cap standpoint.
I think their heart's open now. I think they're literally like, dude, we're about to be in the 1 seed. This dude can get 60 from us. We don't give it. And I think a lot of it is when they ask KOC, what does he say? But you got to remember, too, JJ hasn't played in a year.
No,
and he's coming off a knee surgery. And I'm not saying he's 36 years old off an Achilles like we told everybody earlier this fucking year.
We haven't got to that.
We're saying he's 24 and he's got a knee.
No, I think he's only 22. He's young.
Whatever. It's still the same thing, though. Like, I'm looking at this like, this could be interesting, right? This dude hasn't played in a year. This guy just took us to the 1 spot. We're going to let him walk out the door. It's like, hey, don't forget that other bag of yours. Take it out the door. Okay, we'll ship it to you. Oh, man, I don't want to be Ziggy right now. I don't. But I will say this. Either way, you're winning, I feel like, because JJ is going to be a great player in this league. He was a great college player. They have a lot of respect for him. Sam is winning now. It's kind of like the Trey Lance, Brock Purdy thing. One was really expensive. One was not. You missed on one, but you hit on the other. It's like you're almost guaranteed to kind of hit on one, but do you want to do the reset button all over again? I don't know that we've done reset so many times here, dude. I don't know that I could do it again.
I know. I'm with you.
All right.
How much time you got here?
Dude.
You got time?
We ain't got school.
It's Christmas
They're out
break.
there. Can't you hear all the kids out there yelling right now?
All right. I got one more question from me, and then we'll get to some from the audience here.
Do it. Bring them up. Bring them up.
Are you as concerned about the Bears and Caleb Williams throwing for 334 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Lions? Although that game was never really in question, no. Are you concerned about the Lions moving forward? No.
Did you see them pretend to fumble the ball? Did you see them pretend? Remember we talked about the aw shit play? Remember we talked about it like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Here's another version of the aw shit I had never seen. And when I saw it live, I paused and went, did he just tell him to go down? Did he just point to the ground? And then I rewound it, and I saw him go like this, and he went like this, like he pointed down. And all of a sudden he fell, and I was like, this is scripted play.
Unbelievable.
This is scripted fucking play. Ben Johnson, you can have as much money as you want. You can coach my fucking 8th grade team. I'll pay you $100 million. I don't give a fuck.
Incredible.
His next level.
Dude, he's already reached the like Andy Reid style of play.
He might be beyond. He told someone to tell someone to fall down, and they did. And the whole defense like jumped up in the air. He fell and they jumped, and I was like, this is comedic. This is making me laugh at this point. Ben Johnson will be a head coach somewhere next year, and you better watch the fuck out, because this dude. Remember when they caught the screen out there and then he tossed it to the offensive lineman, and then they tossed it to the receiver, and the other Amon-Ra came by and he tossed it to him, and I was like, this is next level. And Giro would always talk about like, hey, we have to be next level football. We have to be the thinkers in football. We can't be the people that are copycatting everyone else, because there's answers to those problems. There are no answers to new problems. You have to create them. This motherfucker's creating new problems. He is creating problems on top of like the center has now become an eligible player. You have to watch the fucking guy snapping the ball, because he might run down the field and catch a pitch from the fucking receiver. Dude, I am so in love with them, and I am not at all concerned. I don't give a fuck how many.
22 players on IR.
I don't. Did you see Jahmyr Gibbs? He doesn't need the 2-punch. And by the way, I heard a dirty rumor that Montgomery might be coming back for the playoffs.
Ooh.
There are doctors in this world that can make things happen. If you just look at Patrick Mahomes, there was one like last week, he couldn't walk, and then this week he's running for a touchdown that he never does. I was like, you don't ever do that. Are you showing off? But this is what I'm not concerned about. The Lions. because when you show up, you have to stop Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you have to go stop Amon-Ra.
Are you concerned if they don't win the 1 seed?
No.
If they lose to the Vikings, they drop to the 5 seed.
Listen, I'm not calling a predictor on that game. I'm just saying I have all the faith in the Lions and the Vikings, and I can't wait to watch that bloodbath. It is going to be electric because you have a team that's kind of hurt on defense, and now you have this team that's on the left side of the offensive line giving up a lot of pressure, and I'm starting to look at this like, well, if you're both weak on that side, what happens on the other side, right? Like you're looking at the Lions, and you're like, man, the last time they played the Vikings, they won. Do I think that's going to happen again? I don't know. But at the same time, what the fuck could B-Flow possibly think of right now? Like, you're going to have to be so creative because, like I said, these guys are next level. It's not the guy catching the ball. It's the guy he's going to pitch it to that you have to be covering. Like, there's so many things that just take you out of bounds. And then at the same time, they're led by a fucking psychotic man who just wants carnage. I'm all about that, dude. Like, he doesn't even want to be fancy. He wants them to punch him in the mouth. That's why you're talking about Derrick Henry running, and you're like, I just can't fathom this. I'm watching this team, and I'm like, the coach said he wants to eat somebody. The OC says he wants to make it look dazzling. How the fuck does it look this cool? Like, just every single play they run, you're like, what's going to happen next? It's a triple flea flicker to Laporta down the sideline, and you're like, oh my God, it's so cool. Like, it's just so fun. I know. I don't feel at all scared for them. I'm very excited for them. This Week 18 game, you should come up here and watch it with me. You should come up.
I'll be up there for the playoffs. So I will be up there for the playoffs.
Cannot wait.
All right. We'll get some from the audience here in the dumb football questions. We get them from the YouTube audience. By the way, if you're this far along, you haven't hit the like button, you haven't hit the subscribe button.
What the hell are you doing?
Please help us get to 30,000 subscribers here. We're super close. Really appreciate you guys. Always send in the dumb football questions in the comment section. We try to get to as many as we can. We got a lot stockpiled here. Number one question from BBQ Cubs fan.
Ooh.
Can you please explain more on game player grading like you mentioned in the episode? What does grading? What do you grade it on? Do grades matter? So go
do
for
grades matter? What? The worst is when the coach comes in. It's a bad
explain
game.
Explain what grading is. Like,
all right, so the grading,
not the PFF bullshit.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the coaches.
Grade.
Yeah, they give you the grid. And I was going to say the worst is when you lose and you have a blank grid. And he's like, "Go, we're going to grade ourselves." And you're like, "Ah, damn it."
He's like, "Oh, and by the way, I've already graded you, so
the numbers better be very.
The
close.
Numbers better match up.
You be like, oh, was he talking to me after the game? Was he mad? Was he happy? No, it's so basically you get graded on two things. Did you do your assignment? And fundamentally, did you do it correctly? Did I take the right steps? Did I take the right amount of steps? Did I use my hands properly? So you can grade out, and these two grades never fluctuate too far away, right? Like you can, at times you can get the block done, but you get a minus on like, hey, your footwork wasn't right, but you got it done, and we'll live with this. So you kind of, but that's where I would get confused because you'd be like, how are you scoring this, right? Like, which one matters? And you found out quickly it was the footwork. Right? I want to know how the fuck you're getting there, because if you can do that properly, good chance you're going to get the block. If you don't do it properly, good chance you don't get the block. And so those would start to correlate. But you'd get some coaches that were really, really, really tough on it, like Solari. And did I send you a picture? I pulled out a grading sheet from our walkthroughs. We used to get graded on our walkthroughs. Did I send you that picture? No. There was like minuses all over it. And we would come in every day and be like, Mike, it's a walkthrough. And he'd be like, I know, but. And you'd always be like, what is he so anal about? I'm fucking, it's week 18. I'm walking through something. Like I'm walking to touch someone and be like, this is who I have. And he'd be like, but I didn't like your base. You're walking like this. And you'd be like, oh my God. But then you get in the game and you'd understand why they'd be like that. They'd be, and this takes it to a whole nother pro level. Like you can never have a bad step. Like Jay, you and I know that we can take a 6-inch step like that because 6 inches is everything they want. I want a 6-inch step everywhere. And you're like, okay. And after a while of figuring out why they want it, you're like, oh, because my feet are always in the ground and I'm always close to the ground. And I'm not so much choppy as I can be a little bit runny, but at the same time, I'm not taking these big clunky steps and all of a sudden I get blown up. They're trying to coach you through this whole thing. And at times you're like, man, you're being a real asshole. And then you're like, wait a minute, I'm a pro. It doesn't get any higher than me. You should be an asshole about this. You're right. There are times where you don't agree with the grades. You can challenge a grade, but if you're wrong, if you're wrong on that grade, you better have your balls attached to you because they're going to fucking cut them off. I remember one time I challenged Tony in his office. I was like, Tony, I don't agree with this. Remember how he used to sit in his office?
In the dark.
He'd be real.
He'd be in the dark. All he had was a lamp on the desk.
He'd be real low to the desk like this. And I remember he looked up and he like had his glasses on. Close the door, Booner. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I am going to close the door, Tony. I closed it. He goes, lock the door. Why do I got to lock it, Tony? Lock it. Did you just challenge my grade? Did you just say that I was wrong? I was like, listen, I think I did a better job on this. And he was like, okay, let's pull it up. Pulls it up, and I'm instantly like regretting this. Like, well, I didn't think we were going to watch it. Shit. Dude, they're very anal.
Yeah.
I will say this. After a while, you start to realize how important the grades are. And it's really just for them to be like, hey, how are we looking, right? Is our footwork on, our hands on? If you start to get low grades, they'll come to you and be like, hey, these grades they're not good. Basically, you look like shit out here, and you don't look like the rest of these guys. Fix it, or we'll find someone to fix it for you. They're very direct. They don't have time to be like, hey, Bobby, you see this 39? That's a fail. They look at it like, hey, you fucking reading that? I better not see that fucking score again. Understand me? You're like, yeah, understood. Won't happen again.
And it's also because they make it public. Like the
Very
whole line
public.
room sees it, right? The whole line room sees it. And it's also, I believe, a way of incentivizing backups of like, hey, be ready. Right? Like if a guy has 3-4 weeks in a row of shitty scores, like and all of a sudden they make a change and you're getting more reps in practice, there's no secret as to, why is this happening? Right? Do you see the scores?
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row, he scored in the 40s, right? Someone else can do better than that, and sometimes that lights a fire under the starter's ass,
fire.
like the whole bit there. And it also is just a way to also show how well guys are playing, right? It's a way to highlight, hey, man, this dude's scoring in the 80s. Like, that's hard
Which is
to
huge.
do.
That's a win.
If you can score in the 80s on technical and assignment, you had a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Right? Hell of a game. I mean, your goal was to get in between 70 and 80%. Like, if you score between 70 and 80%, usually you won the game. Right, and you had a good game. You start dipping into the 60s and the 50s, bad news bears. If you can get, I think I've only seen one guy ever score in the 90s, and it was maybe the best game I've ever seen a guy play before in my life. Right, so that's kind of what the grading scale there is, and it's very much just the coaching dependent piece on that side.
I will say this too, though. Sometimes they go to PFF for their scores, the higher ups. I don't understand why you wouldn't just go to the coach, the guy coaching. Hey, how's he doing? Give me some numbers. Not, I'm going to go online to some website that has no fucking idea what we're doing here, and we're going to redo all this. Makes no sense to me. Go ahead.
I got a quick one for you. Jeff Dixon. You guys ever put a dip in during a game?
Fuck yeah. I did.
I
Several
never
times.
did. I never did.
Several times. Absolutely. I was sitting there and I was like, who's got one? I need it. I need it now. I'm craving one. I'm craving a fight. It's going to happen. I will say it is very hard to breathe in a 2-minute with a dip in, and it is at times exhausting, and you swallow it and then you're like, fuck. But I had to do it a couple times just to be like, yeah, I did it.
I will say this. No one threw in bigger lips at halftime than Adrian Mother Truckin' Peterson. I mean, I'm talking the biggest pinch. And if
Dude,
you
it was
chew
like
it,
this.
you know what I'm talking about. Like, he'd take a pinch of that long cut and he'd pull his lip like this, and you just set it right on in there. And
it was all the way out.
It was the biggest lipper I've ever seen someone throw.
Yeah, Adrian,
every halftime. What's up?
What's up?
Unbelievable. So yeah, he used to throw in ridiculous dips. All right, another one here. Steven's guitar covers. Is it really a disadvantage playing on a short week? How different is the grind if you play on a Monday night and have to get ready to play on a next Sunday? I'll take that a step further. How hard is it to play from a Sunday to a Thursday?
So hard. It's so hard. It's so hard because your body's not really recovered until Friday. So you're already dipping in. I mean, you have to get extra cold tub. I will say the practice that week is all walkthroughs. Like you're just and that for me was the hardest thing. It wasn't the recovery, right? Like at some point I enjoyed getting hurt and people be like, what's wrong with you? You'd be like, I play in the NFL. And they'd be like, oh my God. You'd be like, I know I got broken fingers and I can't. It was so cool to me. Like you were just growing up as kids, you'd be like, man, that guy's so distorted. And he'd be like, that guy played football forever. You'd be like, what a badass. So I enjoyed it. The hardest part for me was not getting to practice and not getting the timing reps, because I was huge on practice, right? Like I needed my reps. I needed to get the one-on-ones. And so when they were like, I remember the first Thursday night game, they were like, we're going to do all one-on-ones or all walkthroughs. I was like, when's practice?
Yeah.
They're like, that is practice. I go, that's a walkthrough. That's not practice. They're like, dude, you just played a game 10 hours ago. I go, I know, and I got to get ready for the next one. And they're like, I hated it. But I will say this, your adrenaline could not be higher than a Thursday night game. Especially when it's a really big game. We played Seattle on Thanksgiving. We played the Ravens on Thanksgiving. Like, your adrenaline, you don't even know what pain is. You're like, pain? What the fuck is pain?
I mean, the Toradol shot helps as well.
It helps, and especially when you like the one is just leaving your body and you're putting another one in. You're like, I guess it's just gonna happen.
Just roll it on through.
Why not? I will say this: you wake up on Friday.
Well, I think back to 2016 when we did the 3 games in 11 days. Right, we went Sunday, Thursday,
and that's a thing now. Now apparently that's everyone's got to do this, and for whoever invented that, you're a sick motherfucker. I'm not kidding. There's a special place in hell for you, because after that 3-game stretch, I think I was laid on the floor for 48 hours easily. Like, you just don't move. And the whole point of the Thursday game is to see who's tougher, like who's mentally can get through it. That's the whole Thursday trick. There is no secret sauce. There is no Toradol that's going to get you out of it. You're going to be in there in the third quarter like, this is my life. I chose to do this. I didn't choose to be a lawyer or a doctor, and I should have, but I'm doing this now. I remember breaking the huddle one time on a Thursday game, and I was like, yep, I'm an idiot. I fucked up. I chose this as my career. And you're looking at the defense, and they're thinking the same thing. They're like, I fucked up. This is us. We got stuck with the late Thursday game. Like, if you're playing Thursday games now,
December,
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's the first thing you used to check when the schedule would come out. You're like, when's the Thursday game? When is it?
Oh, it's in September. We're good.
We'll make it.
We'll figure it out.
And now you can flex Thursday games too, which I think is. I'm with Gruden. I think Thursday games should be thrown out.
Gone. Get rid of them. You need to.
Get rid of them. It's not safe. It's not very quality football.
It's not.
Like,
they get shitty matchups too.
It's like, bad matchups. It's bad. You don't have the time to put in the game plan. You don't have the time to put in the film study. It's rushed football, and it's never like, wow, what a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Like, I think they need to just do away with it. They won't, because the NFL is greedy and wants to be on football every single night.
Are you kidding me, dude? There's football on every night for the rest of the year, and that's what's even crazier is like now, because when I first started, everything was just on Sunday, right? And every now and then Christmas would be on Saturday, and we'd have a Saturday game or something. And you'd be like, all right, one day off.
Wednesday,
dude. They've gone to
Wednesday.
They're moving teams from Sunday to Saturday to Wednesday. You're like moving them all around, and they don't understand is during the week you have this routine where you're like, listen, I gotta do this or I cannot fucking play. I don't know anybody that could play without doing these things. Number 1, getting in a cold tub long enough that I don't feel my body. 2, working out enough to push everything out. 3, maybe knowing who the fuck I'm gonna play. Like, you just wake up on Thursday and you're like, wait a minute, what happened yesterday?
It's supposed to be third down day.
Yeah.
We're playing a game tonight. Like, I thought it's third down install this morning.
Dude, coaches used to sit in those meetings and be like, we're so fucked. Like, listen, these guys don't do anything we've seen.
So like for example, a normal week of preparation, I'll run through this real quick. Like, Monday you come in, you watch the game, right? You get the grades, you go through the game, you hit a lift. Usually if you want, like, you can get a jump of just watching your opponent, right? Just to get a feel for it. Tuesdays, your off day, we would come in, get a lift. I would try and see if they're putting the game plan yet. It's usually not into the iPad yet, but I'd watch another game, or I'd watch the first and second down cut up and just get familiar with the opponent, right? Just, okay, who am I playing? Are they base? Are they whatnot? Wednesday, you come in, which is like day 1 of the work week, and they have all your first down and your base runs in. They have your nickel runs in, and then they have, like, it's really just first and second down. Like,
right.
That's really all that's in, the run game. Like, first, second down, that's all that's in on Wednesday. You go out, you practice the shit out of that, find out what works, find out what doesn't. You come back in the afternoon, and then you start to install third down, right? Hey, third down, this is what we're going to think we're going to do. We're going to watch the practice. We're going to get to it. Thursday morning rolls around, third down install day. The most important day of the week. Every third down blitz this team has run, how we're going to pick it up, what protections we're going to use, what personnel we're going to be, all of that, right? You install that all day Thursday. That's majority of practice on Thursday is third down.
And red zone.
That's the money down. And then you go red zone. Then on Friday, you come in, you install short yardage and goal line, right? You install those plays because you're not really hitting them hard on Friday practice. You're more of kind of an up-tempo walkthrough, but still button up. And then you go back through on Fast Friday. You run through all your stuff. Saturday, you hit the walkthrough, quick it, and then it's game time. You try and combine that into you play Sunday, you walk in Monday, and you're installing first and second down from the next day. Like right then, like 12 hours later, after your game has been all closed up and buttoned up, you walk in the next morning with that, oh my gosh, I feel like death. And they're like, all right, boys, on first down, we're going to be running duo. And you're like, wait, who are we playing? Like, what are we doing? I mean, it is so rushed and so crazy. The mental preparation is nuts for a Thursday game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, dude, we fucking met all the way up into the game. Like,
Yeah,
we just sit in meetings all day.
And meet.
And they're like, we good on this third down? You're like, I have no idea what the fuck we're doing. Is it Rocco or Loco? I'll figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, it's nuts. So,
Yep.
another
one more.
Can Brock, from Tony Owens, 6802. Can Brock Purdy really afford to buy 10 trucks for his offensive line? What is the nicest Christmas gift you received from the QB, and what's the worst? And then what is the worst Christmas gift you've ever heard given to an O-lineman from a QB?
Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Sure.
I asked the question. All right, I'll go first. The best gift I ever got was a Breitling watch from Phillip Rivers my rookie year. I mean, rookie, no clue what's going on. All of a sudden, here's a $3,500 watch sitting in your locker, and you're like, "There's 10 of us. You bought 10 of those. Like, it's $35,000, right? Like, you just do the quick math in your head, like that's nuts." Right, so that's by far. I mean, the shotgun from Case Keenum was incredible too. I still use that to this day when I go out and shoot ducks and geese. The worst gift, man. I think I told the story of when Sam Darnold got grill tools for
That's pretty bad.
for his offensive linemen, not grills, grill tools. Right, that like was like a spatula and tongs, and then they went up and put his car on blocks out in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's what you get.
I don't know. I mean, as far as the worst gift I heard, I mean, I always think it's really funny when like running backs or quarterbacks get their offensive linemen like Louis bags or like Gucci bags, and like there's a lot of guys that are like, I still just wear my backpack from college, right? Like, I don't know what to do with this.
It's so funny you say that because when Frank gave me a Louis bag, I was like, thanks, buddy.
Like Jonathan Taylor did that for all the Colts 2 years ago, and they were all like, "This is different."
So nice. Dude, my bag, it's like an actual like big roller bag that you take on the airplane. I've used it one time. My wife actually just brought it up and was like, "What are you doing with this?" I go, "That was given to me by Frank Gore. Fucking put it back
Don't touch
now."
it.
She's like, "You ever gonna use it?" I go, "It was given by Frank Gore." No, I'm not gonna use it. Crazy. We got iPads one year. Frank got us Breitlings one year. I mean, those guys always take care of you.
I mean, I heard Adrian Peterson, when he broke the rushing record, got all his offensive linemen snowmobiles.
Yep.
Right, so he got them all snowmobiles.
I heard that Tom Brady actually got his offensive line Audis one year because he was sponsored by Audi, but that's why Brock can do that.
There's
He's
no chance. There's no
technically,
chance.
Tundra sponsors the NFL. Have you not noticed the Sunday Night Show? There's a big Tundra logo on the background, guys. Clearly, this was promo for Tundra.
Yes.
I think it's awesome, though, number one.
Because Jordan Love did a post this morning, too, about being a Toyota partner. So I'd be shocked if all of a sudden
it's probably the top
Green Bay
quarterbacks,
people
right?
didn't get some nice Toyota Tacomas parked on up there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'd be honest with you. Couldn't imagine going outside and seeing 10 new cars and him be like, pick one. Be like,
I know you got a pretty bad gift one time. What was it?
nothing. We got nothing.
Oh, that's right.
We got nothing one year. We got nothing one year. It's
Why
funny.
was that? What happened? What
Nah,
happened?
I don't know.
Come
honestly,
on. Nope. I know the answer to this. So
You do know
you're
the
going to
answer.
tell this story.
I am not allowed to tell this story.
Come on.
This is a
This is a vault?
vault story.
Oh,
And I was
the
promised
worst.
to stay in the vault because we have rules, unlike Jose Canseco, who breaks fucking rules. We as offensive linemen are not allowed to break these rules, but I will say this. There are times where guys don't get you things, and I know people are like, you shouldn't care about that. And it's not that. It's just the respect level, right? Like, you don't need to buy me a $10,000 watch. You could give me a pair of fucking Nike shoes and be like, hey, man, just thinking about you. I know you're going to die early because I have 16,000 yards. I appreciate you. Your grandkids probably won't know you. Take these shoes. And you're like, thank you. I appreciate that. Somebody actually cares about me, unlike the trainers and coaches here. This is great. It's awesome, right? I mean, at times, guys will like take us out to dinner and be like, hey, this is just because I love you guys. And you're like, fucking love you too, man. Like it's so hard to explain, but when you play a violent sport, when someone goes out of their way to do something for you, to be like, I appreciate the fact that you take all these punches so that I don't have to. You're like, I know I get a salary and so do you, but this is just a little extra. And I appreciate that, right? Like you just feel it. And I think it's a thing that, I mean, Carson got us Lucchese boots. Like, you know, Sam got us the iPads. Like they always kind of go out of their way to take care of you.
Yeah.
Alex Smith got us.
I had Josh when he was a rookie. He didn't have real money. I never got those cool scooters.
See, you missed. I had all.
See, that's the thing, dude. Philip was the only quarterback I had that had money.
You
right.
missed
So
out,
like,
dude.
so I went to Teddy, and Teddy was on his rookie deal, and he got us all these like custom coolers that like has our name on them, and like they're plug-in coolers, so they're kind of like a portable fridge. Like,
Sort of.
It was cool, right? And you're like, okay, it's
tried.
custom.
He
like,
tried.
I appreciate you, right? And then Bradford came in, and he was really only there for season, and so he's like, here's some iPads, right? And then
those were the big ones though when they first came out. Remember, I was like,
yeah, because they were right when they came out.
Still have mine right here.
Yep, I still have mine as well. And then the next year is when Case was there, and that's when he walked in, and he asked all the offensive linemen. He's like, "Any of you guys convicted felons? No, okay, good. You can pick up your shotguns at the store." I'm like, oh, okay, that's neat. And then Josh got us iPads again. So at one point, I have two 12-inch iPads running around the house. No, agreed. Now that you have kids, you're like, just take the old one because your smudgy, gross fingerprints are all over it.
I will say this. I've heard about some crazy ones. Like, crazy. Like, Drew Brees took his entire offensive line to the Caribbean for a week. Flights, hotel rooms, all-inclusive, gave him watches. I've heard of some crazy shit. Like, dudes that have been like, I fucking love you guys, and you have made me historically great. I'm going to repay you for what you've done. Like, when Goody told me that, I was like, here we go. It's going to be a great year, boys. It wasn't. Anyways, moving on.
All right, well, that's it. That's the Week 16 recap, part 2 here of the O-line committee.
That's it?
The dumb football question. We've gone for another hour here. Mackey again.
Hour.
He's been dealing with some family stuff. I don't think we're going to get to film breakdowns this week. I don't think we're going to get any of that. It's Christmas. Go enjoy your time. We will be back ready to rock
Christmas,
and roll.
everybody.
Yeah, Week 17 is going to be ridiculously awesome. Super excited about it. Merry Christmas. If you've gotten this far, please hit that like, subscribe button on our road to 30,000 subs. We'll probably hit that by Christmas. Fingers crossed. We appreciate all of you guys as always. For Alex, for me, for Mackey.